A special meeting of the Board of Ed to order at 5:05. Moment of silence. Mr. Ryder.
So being the first board meeting before we get back to school next week, I just wanted to have a moment of silence so everybody can send their best wishes to all of our students, staff, as well as our parents. Parents of those sending their kids to school for the first time at Stowe or to kindergarten for the first time next week, or to our parents of seniors about to start their last year in public school before heading off to the job force, the military, or to their secondary education in college. Speaking for myself, but hopefully for the board, we wish you all the best and a great school year. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bless America. God help every kid.
Fire evacuation announcement. The double doors to your back follow out to the parking lot. The double doors to my left, your right, out the doors to the parking lot. Roll call, Kathy.
Mr. Ryder.
Here.
Mr. Ungary.
Here.
Mrs. Akri.
Here.
Dr. Kalman.
Here.
Mrs. Cushman.
Here.
Mr. Hamry.
Here.
Mr. LeBlanc.
Here.
Mrs. Pickett. Madam Chair.
Here. Before, we don't, Mr. Drezek, we don't have any board guests, correct? Okay, and I just would like to let everyone know why we had to switch the time of the meeting. There's a concert starting at 7 p.m. outside at the band shell, and the last time we had a concert that started the same time as our board meeting, it was very distracting. We couldn't hear, and some of our board members couldn't find parking, so they were parked rather far. So we decided to move the meeting till 5 and keep a regular agenda and not modify it, even though it's a special meeting. So that's the reason why we're meeting at 5. And thank you to the board members for adjusting your schedules for that. Item 7, Superintendent's Report. Mr. Drezek.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Although I will miss talking over Eddie Money, I appreciate because it was some people also wanted the opportunity to see the concert, so appreciate you moving the meeting. Well, it's that time of year, as Mr. Ryder mentioned in his opening. We're slowly approaching the first day of school. So next Tuesday, August 29th, we're going to welcome our 5,000 kids back to our schools, pre-K through 12, for another exciting school year. There's some changes. And Madam Chair, I know I had originally anticipated we don't have any board guests tonight because we're going to let some of our administrators who've been working all summer and our teachers aren't quite back yet until tomorrow, and I'll get into that in a second. So rather than drag people out, we're letting them stretch summer out one more night and maybe go see Trailer Trash before they got to get back to school tomorrow. But there are some changes, and I know that we just originally had planned to have a more robust discussion on certain things about what we're planning to do this school year with regards to some of our goals and objectives for the year. A big portion of that, and you'll probably hear about this in the coming days, is some of the standardized test scores from the state of Connecticut are due to be released. They are currently embargoed. So legally, I can't talk about them. And honestly, I can't even get into all of them. So even though we have access to see certain things, we don't have a lot of access to see much at this point. And I am legally forbidden to even tell you what I have been able to see. So a large portion of what our plans and goals and objectives for this year are going to be centered around that as well. So it would be a bit premature to do that presentation this evening. So in the spirit of having a special meeting, and really just a welcoming and tell everybody how excited we are to start a brand new school year. Some of you also may have heard and some have asked, there is some changes to our school lunch program this year. The last few years, school lunch has been free for everyone. Unfortunately, we're not in a position to offer that any longer. The state did make a minor modification to school lunch this year. And what that means is any student who qualifies for free lunch, you still continue to get free school lunch. Any student who qualifies for reduced lunch, you are now eligible for free lunch as well. So only those who are not eligible for free or reduced lunch would then again be required to go back to what we referred to prior to the pandemic, which was paid lunches. On top of that, breakfast has remained free for everyone. So we're still in a position to offer free breakfast for students. If you're free or reduced, lunch will continue to be free. Unfortunately for everyone else, we have to go back to a paid lunch system. The good news is we have not raised our prices on school lunches in quite some time to try to make it manageable for families, because even if you don't qualify, we do know that that can be a burden for families as well. I do want to encourage all families who are listening. You're going to get forms to fill out free and reduced lunch. A lot of people decide not to do it, or for whatever reason they don't. I encourage you, if you think it's a possibility, please fill out the form. And you don't have to do it in your child's school, or you can go to call our nutrition services office and we'll set up a place so you can do it, so you don't have to go into your child's building. We'll work with you in order to get that form filled out, because if you're not sure, you won't know till you find out. And a lot of times the rules changes on who's eligible, and it comes on family income and other circumstances. There might be ways that we can help people out. So I encourage everybody to fill out that form if they're able to. We are fully again. I know it's been a long time, and although we somewhat looked back to normal a little bit last year, we just sent out a reminder to all of our buildings over the summer that we're open again. And that includes for visitors. Now, we're putting some additional security measures in place. You'll see it might look a little different than what you remember kind of pre-pandemic, and we're still working on some things. But we want to make sure that our buildings are open and welcoming for our kids and their families and their staff members to come back in and be a part of what we're doing here. There's a lot of good things happening in our schools, and it's about time we get back to a little bit what life used to be like. And I know we've had school-based activities in the past, over the past couple of years, but it still didn't always seem right. There were some questions. Are we really allowing visitors in? And we not? We are. Now, you can't just show up for no reason. It's not open to everybody. It has to be a reason you need to be there. But we do want to make it a point that it becomes as welcoming as we possibly can. And the last thing I will mention is that typically by now I send out a back-to-school message for our staff members. And as I was about to hit send, I realized it's not often the way that the world worked the last few years that I get a chance to express things either verbally or in person. In a perfect world, it would be in person, but I don't really have that opportunity going on this year. But for a lot of our staff members, especially our 12-month staff, and particularly our teachers, summer is over in about 6 hours. If you go to bed early, it's over a little bit before that. We also welcome our kids back on the 29th, but tomorrow we welcome our teachers back for their first day of school. And I know it's a bittersweet for some of our staff members that summer's way too short and summer's over. Some may be celebrating the last day of freedom by coming down to see trailer trash tonight, and I hope they enjoy themselves. But I wanted to take this opportunity, Madam Chair, I know to address the public, but I think this is important for the public and address our staff members, if you permit me during this report to say that. One of the things that I failed to mention in the early part of the superintendent's report, but I'll hit it now. I'm sure no one is surprised, because you don't live in a cave, unless you were traveling somewhere really exotic this summer, that this country is currently dealing with a pretty significant teacher shortage. In addition to teacher shortages, there's shortages everywhere. There's paraprofessionals, nurses, bus drivers, just chalk them up. Everybody, we're short everywhere. Obviously, we're not exempt from that either. So this year, we welcomed 30 new teachers to the Enfield Public Schools. Now, some may look at this and say, we lost 30 people. And that stinks. It does. There's 30 great people I didn't want to lose. But the reality is I can look at it through two lenses. One is, why did people leave us? And there's a million reasons why. Or I could look at it through the lens of, we have 30 new people who we are so excited to be here with us, and they are excited to be here with us as well. So we have 30 new certified staff members, countless more non-certified staff members that all get to call tomorrow their first day of school. And I want to officially welcome everybody back tomorrow. That said, this teacher shortage thing is real. I don't know where you get your information from, but one thing I'm sure that we can all agree on is you've seen it. We've heard it all over, and it's not just a Connecticut thing. It's not an Enfield thing. It's a national thing. I don't know. In the last week or so, I get contacted by the media a lot because they're all doing their back-to-school stories. And the three questions they all ask, and I've talked to colleagues, we all get the same question. How many are you down? What subject matters? And what are you going to do to fix it? Well, the first two I can answer. The last one, we're kind of wringing our hands at this point, right? Like, yeah, there's answers. Like, do we pay people more? Well, our hands are kind of tied in that area. Working conditions, all that stuff that everybody's dealing with, but everybody's dealing with that. So one of the things I've asked staff members over the last number of years is keep questioning themselves why. Like, why are you doing this? When we're looking at this problem of being a teacher shortage, it's not just Enfield. Trust me, it's everywhere. How do we get here? And I don't know the answer. I have a theory that the system is finally caught up to us. Now, I know the people are going to say that there was this COVID burnout, and that's real. That's a big part of it. But we were heading on this trajectory for quite some time. So if I use, and one thing I've tried to be good at this year is keep the time. And I was very good with the administrators yesterday, keeping to exactly the amount of time. So I'm going to talk fast, but I'm going to try to say everything I got to say as quickly as I can. This problem has been happening for years. This isn't new. This isn't just COVID hit and everybody quit. And the reason for that is, think about it for a moment. What do we expect from our teachers? The level of expectations for teachers is always up here, right? And we all agree. We expect them to teach our kids and move them academically. We expect them to keep them safe physically. And look, physical safety is a lot different definition than it was when you and I were in school, but it's real, it's there. We expect them to keep our kids safe emotionally, behaviorally, I can't talk, socially. We expect our teachers to be caregivers in some cases. We expect our teachers to be dietitians and make sure their kids are eating their breakfast. We expect our teachers at times to be nurses, and it's not because our nurses are lazy, it's because there's a line 12 deep to get into the nurse's office. So some teachers will say it's just a Band-Aid, I'll do it myself. We expect teachers sometimes to be custodians, and it's not because the custodians are lazy, it's just the custodians are cleaning up for the room, so you know what, there's a mess here, I'll clean it up myself. We expect teachers to do more than just what we ask them to do in the classroom. Some of our teachers, most of our teachers, also do other things for us. You've seen them all here as guests. They're advisors to clubs. Buzz Robotics was the last guest we had of the year. They're coaches for us. Not only is the level of expectations that our teachers are going to teach our kids to all be Ivy League ready, but when they're working for us for 25 cents an hour, when you break it out hourly for some of these stipend jobs, we expect them to produce the next generation of astronauts, and everybody on that athletic team damn well better be D1 ready. And all those expectations were there prior to COVID. But the level of respect that we have for this profession is down here. And that's not anyone in this room's fault. That's a hard look in the mirror that we have to look around this entire country. And people say, well, I don't understand. We threw parades during COVID for people. But what else haven't we done? If all those things that we agree upon that we ask teachers to do, why do we still hear things like they make too much money? But they get their summers off. That's my favorite. They got a cushy pension. Their union's the problem. Binding arbitration is going to be the death of us. Until we close that gap of expectations and respect, this is never going to change. And it's about time we and all of us start having these conversations, because what do we expect? Do we expect people are just going to be lining up in droves to get into this profession? When we just listed out everything we expect from you, but at the same time, these are all the things people are going to say about you. Some of my retired friends might be watching this tonight, so they're going to fall out of their chairs. And some of my non-retired friends are going to fall out of their chairs. But one of the things the state puts out every year is what they call the durational shortage, or the shortage list, right, for certifications. And that comes out over the summertime. It came out about 2 weeks ago. And what that is that's the shortage area for certifications that, so usually, typically like special ed's always, they have the market cornered. So those are areas they don't have enough teachers for. The state issues temporary certifications for it. So essentially, as a district, you can hire a teacher to teach that area without a certificate. I mean, you have to be working toward it. There's some specifics to it. But essentially, that DSAP list, that's you don't need a certification if you're willing to do it and you're working toward it. We can employ you for, in some cases, up to 2 years where you don't have to be certified to teach. And those lists are always special ed. Like earth science, you can't find an earth science teacher. If you guys know a Latin teacher, let me know. That's always on the list. I cannot believe I live in a world in 2023 in the state of Connecticut where social studies is a shortage area for teaching certifications in the state of Connecticut. Social studies. So I asked the question, well, why? Well, think about it. What do we teach in social studies? History, civics, politics. You think people want to get into that now? Should we be surprised that this is a shortage area? Like I said, if you're living in a cave, then maybe. But for the rest of us, I got to look a 22-year-old kid in the eye and say, why wouldn't you want to do this? And it's amazing to me because 5 years ago, if we had a social studies opening at Enfield High School, for every opening we would have 100 applicants. And today, if I have an opening, I can put somebody in there who's not certified. So what's that say about where we've come? That's the reality we live in. And I can't blame people for wanting to get out. I can't blame people for wanting to do something else. All of you up here have a friend or a colleague or a family member who's a teacher. You all know somebody. I got an assignment for you. It's first day of school. I am excited. There's a positive note to this. But the first day of school, you guys got an assignment. When you leave here today, call that person you know who's a teacher and ask them a question. They've been here 10 years or more. Ask them 10 years ago, what was the one thing they feared about their job? And losing it isn't an answer. And prepare yourself for what you're going to hear. If it was 10 years ago, this is post-Sandy Hook, so you're probably going to hear something about kid safety, being physically hurt, harmed, in school, out of school. You're going to hear about maybe a parent being upset with them. You're going to hear about all the usual stuff. Ask somebody today what they're afraid of. Because I did. The people who were leaving, I asked them, why are you going? And the most common answer that I got back was, I don't want to be next. And so what do you mean you don't want to be next? I didn't get into this to go viral. I didn't get into this to get my name on the 11 o'clock news because I screwed up something by accident. I didn't get into this so that people can call me names or question my character. I didn't get into this for that. I don't want to be next. It's real, and I don't blame them. Now, we can't fix society's problems in this room. This is a national conversation we have to have. And until we start leveling the playing field for what we expect, nobody complains. And we do the same thing. I mean, hell, we have a whole district centered around STEAM. We want to push our kids into science, technology. We want the next generation of engineers and doctors and lawyers. But when are we going to add a T and put teaching into that? Because until we ask our best and brightest to do this, what do we expect? You all know the definition of insanity. We're practicing it. And until we start having that dialogue and we start getting the right people in the room to say something needs to be done, we're at a crisis point, it's not going to change. Do you expect it to? But it's not all bad. Here's what we do control. Here's what you guys control. We control what we do. We know how this is having an effect on those who are watching right now. And I'm not talking about everybody at home. This message is going to our staff members because I know and I've heard from them all summer long how this is a real thing. And I have an obligation to speak. We control how we act. We control what we do. We control if we rise up above it. And we control if we're going to let these negative forces come into our room. I can't tell you guys how to do your job, but I can tell you how I'm going to do mine. And I'm going to do mine very simply. I'm done with that stuff. I'm worried about who's here. I'm worried about who wants to be here. And I'm worried about making sure that whoever is here is making sure that our 5,000 kids have everything they need to be whatever the hell they want to be in their lives. And that starts with us. And that's a choice. I've told you the choice that I've made. I told you the choice that he made. We made it together. I let him have a vote before I did it. But I'm done with the negativity. So the staff, 12-month staff, I know it's everybody, but I know teachers are on the forefront right now. For our teachers who are watching this right now, first of all, put the Prosecco down. Because I need you to listen carefully. A, thank you. Thank you for coming tomorrow. When I say we can't do this without you, I mean that literally. Like, we really can't open if you don't come to work tomorrow, so I'm going to really need you to put the Prosecco down and come to work tomorrow. But the reality is I don't really need to thank you because you guys are going to come tomorrow because that's who you are. It's not just what you do. And all this noise that's out there and all the negativity that's out there, you're still going to show up tomorrow. And you're still going to make sure that our kids are going to be all right. Now, I can't promise that it's going to be easy. It's not. There's going to be obstacles. There's going to be hurdles to get over. But I can honestly tell you for the first time in a while, I'm not worried. I'm not worried because I know I got you. And you shouldn't be worried either, because you guys are teachers and you can do anything. And you don't have to take my, there is nothing we or the 9 of you can throw at you guys that you guys can't handle because you've already done it. So the reality is, if you don't believe me, which is totally feasible, then wait until Tuesday morning. Because Tuesday morning, there are 5,000 kids who are going to show up at your doorstep because of you. Not me, not them, because of you. And if I know you the way I do, you're going to be here and do it, and that's all you really need. So thank you. I was going to say I wish you a good year. I'm not wishing you a good year. You're going to have a good year because I know you. We're all going to have a good year. And if you don't, I don't want to hear about it. So thank you for listening to me. I'm sorry it took a little longer than I thought, but I thought it was important. Some things just don't come across in emails the way they do verbally. So that concludes the superintendent's report.
Thank you. Item 8, audiences. Walter Cruzel.
Walter J. Cruzel, 21 Charlie Road, also member of the Modernization Committee. Excellent speech. Longer than graduation, but we'll work on that. And thank you for the shout out at graduation, by the way. School modernization. Friday, I get an update that the council's getting an update. Well, it didn't happen, but I was there. Today, I get another agenda from Joint Facilities on Thursday, which is in conflict with the JFK Building Committee meeting, also on Thursday at almost the same time, which in the past we worked on that so they wouldn't conflict, but also they're getting an update. The only one not getting an update is the Modernization Building Committee, which should be getting an update. The council wants to vote on it by September 7th, and we haven't even seen it yet, so. And memory serves me right, and the Deputy Director of Capital Projects should know, if we want to get state money, we got to do it procedurally. We have to vote on it first and then send it off to the council. So, they want to get a referendum going for this fall, and I know it's like the town manager. It's 6 months of work in 6 weeks. I know the time schedule was tough, and we knew that from the beginning. But I believe we got to have a joint. We have to have a modernization committee meeting here in the next week or two to go over what it is, so we can approve it to pass it on to the council. But again, that's the deputy director's position to call the state and see how that works. I was honored to go to graduation this year, and I'm so happy that I got to surprise someone with his diploma. Got a piercing pain in my back after graduation, but that's another story. But he was very surprised. I want to thank Tom for holding the rain off during graduation so his son could receive his diploma without rain. But God bless our teachers, God bless our staff, God bless our administration. But I look at it, I was going to bring the program from graduation and I forgot it. It's in my truck. A lot of asterisks after the people's names, and asterisks were honors or high honors, and I can't believe we're in Alliance District. Somebody's miscounted or something is wrong there. I don't buy it. I think it was engineered for us to be an Alliance District, but that's another story. And learning starts with the parents. Please do what you can to get your kids to come to school, learn something, so we can have another successful year and another many, many more asterisks after their names next year's graduation. So God help Enfield, Connecticut. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cruzel. Maria Griffin? You just have to state your name and address for the record.
Maria Griffin, 98 Abbey Road.
Thank you.
A few years ago, Enfield High School had Eagle Hour, an hour set aside for students to get extra help from teachers, do homework, hang out with people, etc. However, the time has been cut in half and is now being pushed to only 3 days a week. And yeah, they're adding 5 extra minutes to the 3 days, but that's not okay. This is unacceptable. Students depend on Eagle Block for a multitude of reasons. Enfield Public Schools is in the lower 50% of both academics and socioeconomics. Many students depend solely on buses for transportation, so don't have the option to stay after hours and receive help. Also, the lower performance of academics proves the need for this extra help. A lot of kids do sports and as a result have very tight schedules. They need Eagle Block. Every single person needs breaks. The teachers get free periods, so why shouldn't we? Only 30 minutes a day is what we ask, and it's not just a break. We use this time productively. Towards the end of last year, we saw what it was like to have Eagle Block at most 3 times a week. It was terrible. Both academically and mentally, a huge chunk of the student body suffered. Grades dropped, and so did overall happiness with the school. I am aware that the board does not concern themselves with the daily life of individual schools, but this is not a small issue. I created a petition and within a week gained 255 signatures. Literally hundreds of students are telling you that they need this time, non-negotiable. And it's not a big ask. We're not trying to change long-held policies or anything. We're trying to make school manageable. We need Eagle Block at least 4 days a week, if not 5. We need it. I emailed admin a few times about the issue, but received repetitive answers, which basically said, sorry, but we're not doing anything. And I understand that some kids abuse this time and that there are staffing shortages. I do sympathize. But when literally hundreds of individuals are telling you they need help, you find a way. And I don't just come here to complain, I have a solution to propose. I briefly outlined it to the principal, but she did not address it. The issue is, in the eyes of admin, that there's not enough teachers to support this time. But there's enough teachers for the other classes, so there's enough for Eagle Block. There may not be enough for how Eagle Block was run in the past, but with a few edits, it should be no problem. I propose that you set aside a select few teachers on scheduled days to run overflow students in the auditorium or cafeteria, since that is where the overflow goes for regular classes, and you rotate through the teachers for overflow duty so that everyone can get help and it is a predictable schedule. There is no reason that this many kids should be needlessly suffering when a realistic solution is perfectly in reach. And if again our pleas for change are ignored, then just know that it would be a direct contradiction of the school's motto for giving us voices. We need Eagle Block for so many reasons, it cannot be taken away. This is a copy of the signatures, the mission statement for the petition, and student testimonies left on the petition or messaged to me to remain anonymous. Thank you.
Thank you. Maureen Griffin?
Maureen Griffin, 98 Abbey. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I have heard her over the past year when there was cancellations of Eagle Block and the impact it had on her and other kids talking. And the petition that she just handed you, Mr. Drezek, the amount of children in the high school that did not sign it because they didn't think, why bother? They had they feel so disenfranchised and they're apathetic at this point. You know, admin's going to admin. You can't change anything. That's really sad. Kids this age normally have this go-get-it in them that the world is changeable. But the things that I heard and read from the various social media, these kids get apathetic and they feel like, why bother? And that's not what we want our kids to feel like. We want them to feel like they can be change agents in the world. Like for instance, she uses Eagle Block. Sometimes she'll arrange with a teacher where she can have several friends come in, that same thing, and she's tutoring them. And it's low key, and it allows the kids to ask questions in a way that they don't feel like, and she checks with the subject teacher to make sure that she's got the right idea when she's tutoring them, and she's helping people. And that's what we want to encourage in the kids. So enough of that. One thing that I think needs to be addressed is that admin can become very defensive when you point out what you see as failings. I'm talking about high school here. When one of my children had an incident that was impacted by bias and made this, because of previous experiences of bias in the school, made the reaction out of proportion to what was happening. And I pointed that out to the admin that we were meeting with, and they were noticeably bothered by that and took offense to it. Now, I was not telling them they were racist or anything like that. I was saying when you have a bias situation, when there is bias and racism in the school, and there is, I don't think anyone can deny that it does exist, it impacts kids of color in a way that it doesn't impact white people. And if you've not experienced it growing up or in your life or seen it happen to others, you don't understand it, you don't pick up on it, and it doesn't mean that you're not trying to improve yourself, trying to do better. I mean, as a parent, when my kids look at me and go, "Mom, you just don't get it." Yeah, I don't like hearing that, but sometimes I do just don't get it. If you're not willing to be told what you don't get, then you can't see what needs to be changed. You can't address or change issues if you're not willing to see them. They really need to cast a broader net when they're looking for kids to take part in various things. Like the two girls who were student members, they did a great job. Why don't we change them up every quarter and pull out other kids? Try and bring forth more voices to the table. I know you, Chris, I know you have a student advisory thing. Work to pull out kids that aren't the ones who are always stepping forward. And I know it's hard to do because, like I said, there's sadly a feeling of these kids being disenfranchised and they don't want to listen to me anyway. So I've raised my voice before and it didn't do a dang thing, and they're just like, I want to get through it. So yeah, it's not going to be easy, but the student governance things and anything that you are looking for input from the kids, they've got to do more work to welcome the input of a larger variety of the student body, listen to the input, and step out of their comfort zones. Because it's hard to be told where you're missing things when you know that you are working hard to do the best you can for the teachers, for the kids. I believe that the admin and the teachers are working hard and are trying to do their best, but they're missing the target in a lot of areas. And when I saw that, like I said, when I saw the commentary that she was getting, it's just like, oh, this is not cool. There's a large number of kids who just don't feel seen, and that's not what we want. That's not what the mission statement and everything about the district is. So it's an area we need to step it up. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Griffin. Looks to be that's it for audiences. Number 9, board member comments. We're going to start with Ms. Acree.
Good evening and welcome back to all of our students, all of our parents, families, administration, staff. I hope everyone had a restful and enjoyable summer. During the summer, I would like to share that I had the privilege of attending the Enfield Public Schools Instrumental Summer Music Showcase. Of course, the young musicians did a great job, as usual, and it was also great to see some different instrumental ensembles such as the ukulele and the guitar, of course, as well as jazz and strings and so forth. So I'd like to say kudos to all the music specialists who gave up some of their time in the summer, and of course to the students. Unfortunately, with that program, there was a Winnie the Pooh production that went with it that morning, but I didn't get a chance to see that. And that's because several of us board members, Dr. Calman and Ms. Cushion, we got a chance to take a tour of Enfield High School, which was very impressionable. I was very impressed by my tour and the tour guide, Mr. Longy. And with our high school and the great academic and vocational courses that are offered to the Enfield students. It was very impressive, excellent. I am looking forward this year to working with the board members, and I feel confident that by our policies, our voting that we do, that we will be making the best and the wisest decisions for all of our Enfield students, and such as also looking into the Eagle Block situation. So thank you, Maria, for bringing that to our attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Acree. Dr. Calnan?
Yeah, I don't have anything to add to Jean's comments. I enjoyed the tour thoroughly, especially since I'm a graduate, 1967 graduate of Enfield High, and that definitely wasn't the school that I went to. I just wanted to comment on Mr. Drezik's comments about teachers. And I think there's nothing that's worse than to suffer in silence. Severity of problems suffered by professionals can be multiplied manifold by isolation, by feeling that you can't share your suffering with other people. And I think that could be one of the perils that our teachers are facing today. It's in this context that I would propose an option, just something to think about. And that is the option of reflective supervision for teachers. Reflective supervision is a practice that is utilized by a number of professionals, therapists, psychotherapists, developmentalists, people that work at Birth to Three and also at DCF. And it is an option that maybe we ought to think about in terms of our teachers, because there is an amazing amount of emotional overlay involved in the profession of teaching. And teachers have to be afforded an opportunity to get those issues out and to talk about them. So if these emotions aren't really adequately addressed, the result can be serious mental health problems, burnout, and premature retirement. And so it's important to note that reflective supervision is not therapy. It happens when teachers or therapists or specialists, mental health specialists, get together in small groups, very confidential, under highly controlled environmental features. It's held in absolute confidentiality, and the group has to have trust in one another so that people feel free to actually get these issues out in the open. And they're not looking for solutions. You're just looking for an opportunity to talk to other people who are in a position to understand the problems at hand. And that is a great starting point for finding solutions to the problems that one encounters. And this is, I'm really mentioning this from personal experience. I've gone through reflective supervision, and it gives you an opportunity to look at your problems from an entirely different perspective rather than to be overwhelmed by them. So something I think we ought to think about, and I would recommend pursuing this option if we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kalman. Ms. Cushman?
just reflecting on what you're just sharing and wondering if there's something, Dr. Calnan, that you can share with the board for us to have more information about it as we, see if there's anything that we can pursue. I do want to express my appreciation, Ms. Griffith, for you to come and to share. And it's admirable that you took the initiative to not only write this petition and try to get the signatures of fellow students to reinstate Eagle Block to more often during the week, and also the initiative that you take to tutor your fellow students. It's very admirable, and I appreciate just hearing that about you. And as we begin a new year, there was a quote from Michael Phelps, who was an Olympic swimmer, that just caught my eye, and I just wanted to encourage students and teachers. There will be obstacles, he says. There will be doubters. There will be mistakes, but with hard work, there will be no limits. And hopefully, not only will there be hard work, but also you'll find that there is support and help and encouragement along the way. Welcome back to our teachers and students.
Thank you, Ms. Cushman. Mr. Hamry?
Thank you. As everybody's saying, welcome back to the next school year. And I want to thank Superintendent for the sentiments that were shared with us. Staffing shortage is absolutely real and across all sorts of industries and areas of work. In the work that I do in the human services field, there is a dire shortage of therapists, for example. It's not something that has an easy answer to. It's not a matter of throwing more money at the situation. It's problematic through many industries. One of the things that caught my attention in the superintendent's report was the phrase where superintendent spoke about the areas of concern for those that are leaving the profession. And what have we become when the teachers prior to COVID were asked to become comfortable with the ideas of safety drills, active shooter trainings, things of that nature, where that was the biggest challenge. And yes, that's a significant challenge that has not gone away, nor has COVID for that matter. But the fact that the teachers prior to COVID were concerned about that their personal safety was at risk, frankly, that was legitimate, still is legitimate, and we have to be cognizant of that. The idea that I don't want to be next, that applies to the idea of an active shooter as much as it applies to being the target of online smear campaigns through whatever voice wants to take that to task. We have plenty of examples where this particular board and this district has been on the receiving end of numerous efforts to diminish the work that our teachers and our administrators and our professionals do every day, day in, day out, to help our student population achieve the best that they can. And to have that be less than acceptable to anybody that's got a different mindset is symptomatically a problem. A couple of other things. Mr. Kozel, it's always a pleasure to have you in the room. One thing that caught my attention in what you were talking about with the asterisks after the name and the correlation between that and our Alliance District. I've been at this dais for almost 2 years now and paid attention to the logic and the reason that put us on the list of Alliance districts. They're not related. There's no correlation between Alliance District status and the significant amount of students that have made academic achievements, which there are dozens and dozens of. Hundreds, if I remember correctly, as I sat through the award ceremonies and helped to recognize those students. But again, it's good to start off this school year with a pretty solid understanding of what it means to be an Alliance District. It is socioeconomic as much as it is anything else, and to have it tied in by a former chairman of this board that we are somehow failing because we don't have enough asterisks or that we're an Alliance District. It's something that caught in my stomach there. To mother and daughter, you both make very good points with your concerns about Eagle Block, and I'm sure I'm going to hear about that from my own student about the Eagle Block concerns. And I do like the suggestion of having a rotation of student reps that join us at the board. That would be good to consider that. And for the time being, I'll wrap up with that. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Hamry. Mr. LeBlanc?
Good evening. Welcome back to the new school year, and I wish everybody well in the upcoming year. It's no secret that this is the first of my last meetings for my term on the Board of Ed, and I want to, begin this new school year by, kind of outline what I have in mind for the next couple months until my term's up. And that's really just, a few people spoke on it tonight, but it's really about just promoting and pushing forward as much of a education first philosophy in this district as we can. I think that's been my goal for the last 4 years. And I'm going to, really over the next however many meetings we got, 2, 4, 6, give or take 6 meetings between now and the next election to really kind of push forward education in town. I think over the last couple of years, COVID aside, the point of every district or town in order to grow and achieve has been the student population and what the school districts do for their students, and how good of a staff we have, which in Enfield, I think we have a phenomenal staff. Mr. Trezek brought up that we have 30 new teachers, and I think that's 30 brand new opportunities. No doubt, God bless all those that have left us. I think there were some really solid professionals that we lost, and I know a couple personally that the district's going to hurt from losing them, but to get 30 new people in is a brand new start, 30 brand new starts, and I have all the faith in those 30 staff members, and beyond that with our current staff. It's no secret Enfield has faced its challenges with surrounding districts around us, whether it's pay scale or social economical status or different outliers that other towns may have an advantage on at the moment. But at the end of the day, I think Enfield has been on the forefront of making education a priority first driven initiative in this community. And if we stay on that track, it's only going to help our community grow. And I think Enfield right now, with the upcoming election in a couple months and where we stand, we're trying to figure out, again, who we are as a town, as a district, and trying to grow. We have a new generation, new population coming in. Our population's going back up. That's why we're talking about this school renovation committee and stuff like that. So there are things we need to figure out, but at the end of the day, if we keep in the forefront of our mind education first, that is, at the end of the day, what's going to grow our town and put it in a better direction. I think our students in town, we're very unique. I think we have kids that can excel and go be high honor students at Harvard. And we have students that Harvard, or any college for that matter, may not be for them, and we may have kids that go into the trade. So Enfield's very unique in the aspect that we have students all over the spectrum that we need to identify. And I think a lot of the concerns that are brought up from constituents or students themselves have to relate to trying to figure out how we balance all that with a 5,000 student body population. So over the next couple months, I hope the community understands where I'm coming from, and I hope I can, put out a message before my closing call to continue to push education in this town and make it the forefront issue, not only in this election, but for the next 20, 50 years to come, because that's ultimately what's going to grow our town and make our population better, our families better, and just the overall town atmosphere better. So education first and foremost, and you'll be hearing more from me on my thoughts up behind it as we go over the next couple months. Good luck to everybody, 2023, 2024. Like Mr. Teresic said, there's going to be issues along the way, but think about, where we came from 2020 to where we are now going into 2023 school year, back to normal, back in 2021. Last year, pretty much back to a normal basis. Now we're like full steam ahead. So there's a lot to look forward to, and I think this year will probably be the best in the last half decade. So looking forward to it. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. LeBlanc. Mr. Ungary?
So I'll start with just welcoming everybody back to the new school year, to the students, their families, the teachers, especially those 30 new teachers. It's very exciting to start a new job, and so I would say to our 30 new teachers, don't be afraid to use your talents and your skills and teach those kids. To the staff and administrators, the same, welcome back. I'd like to present a challenge to our students and teachers, which would be this: as we go into this new year, set a goal. Think about it and set a goal, perhaps something that you don't think you can even achieve. And if you focus on that and you work towards that, you might surprise yourself. So with that, I want to say welcome back, and to Ms. Griffin, thank you for coming up and speaking to us here. I think you well communicated the importance of Eagle Block and all the good work that you're doing to try to grow that and to restore it and to make it into more than what it is today. So well done. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ungary. Mr. Ryder?
So I just wanted to mention that this will be the 6th full year of EnfieldPTO.com. So to all the PTO parents out there, please send me your updates, etc. I've gotten 1 or 2 emails in the last week or two that I have not added to the website, only because of family obligations in summer. I'll make sure everything is up there. To all of our admins that have their email blasts, please make sure that I get a copy of those so we can cut and paste those and make sure everything is all in one place for all of our families. Enfield PTO is still on the .com, Facebook. Soon to be on Threads. It's also on X/Twitter. So it's just a way to kind of have everything all in one place for all of our families. So anything that I know of or that comes across my email, I make sure that everything is listed there for all of our families to see. It's especially helpful when you have students at multiple schools. So we're excited about that. Eli Whitney specifically. Just a quick update on September 6th, we're having our open house. That is before our next Board of Ed meeting, so I want to make sure anybody watching from that's heading into Eli Whitney for 3rd grade this year or that's continuing in their 4th or 5th grade school years, that you know about September 6th at 6 p.m. There's an open house. Also, to all the parents, please check the principals' emails that have been coming out this week and last, especially if you're heading into a new building. Things that sound simple as far as like the pickup and drop-off lines and where the buses go and where you're supposed to go. Those things are very important. And everybody's going to ask that question next Monday night. And next Tuesday morning, there's going to be a lot of traffic jams because people didn't know that, I'm sorry, I didn't go. No, we had to go in this building, then through that way and out this way. And make sure you know what you're doing. I also wanted to thank and welcome back all of our bus drivers who get all of our kids to and from school safely every day. I know we have a lot of kids that do walk or that get driven in by parents, but the bus drivers get the majority of our students, the overwhelmingly majority of our students, to and from school every day safely. And they can't do that if we're not careful as drivers. So to all the parents out there or anybody that's listening, please stop when the bus stop signs are out. Please look for flashing lights. Please look for little kids with book bags half their size running across the street excited to get their first bus ride to school. Especially that first week or two of school. Not everybody thinks like a driver. Sometimes a kid will dart out. It's not always their fault. Sometimes, they're walking with other friends and one friend goes and the other one tries to cross as well. So please be careful. And I wanted to give a special shout out to my soon-to-be 12-year-old son, whose birthday is tomorrow. The only good thing about our meeting moving up a little bit early is we can hopefully get home a little bit sooner for dinner tonight. So happy birthday, E, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you, Mr. Ryder. Just a couple of quick things. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Cruzel. We're going to address some of what you brought up during the committee reports. I think you saw in my email today that we were unaware that there was going to be a special meeting talking about it. So you actually brought it to our attention, so we appreciate that, and we'll be addressing that. But to answer your question publicly, the committee is still where it's supposed to be, and they're doing what they're supposed to do. So we'll give an update during that portion of the meeting. We were just as surprised as you were. Next, Maria Griffin. I wanted to separate it so you know I'm talking to you. The best way for us to have a glimpse inside the schools is to hear from the students. So I really appreciate you speaking on behalf of Eagle Block. I think it's important to remember that sometimes you have students that want to be part of a club and play a sport, and part of Eagle Block was supposed to be able to help students balance that, plus the issue of getting bused after school. And Eagle Block, like you said, can sometimes not be used for how it is, but there are many beneficial times to having it be used, like you tutoring students or students meeting with teachers. So this is something we can definitely look into. I'm going to shoot that to Mr. Longi to see if we can look into that for you. But I really appreciate you coming to the meeting and starting a petition, and keep coming if there's something we need to know. So thank you. To Ms. Griffin, thank you for your insight. I think we talk about, definitions and different situations that happen. And I think that as a society, we tend to get defensive, but it's really about education and learning. A little bit about yourself and a bit about others and the world that they live in and how the world is perceived through their eyes. Everybody perceives this world in a different way. So I think that's important that you also bring that to the forefront. Scott mentioned volunteering. I see two PTO Crandall people. We had a grandmother of students saying, how do I volunteer? I want to volunteer at JFK and I want to volunteer at Crandall. So I directed her to enfieldpto.com. And I told them, you will get in touch with them and she's going to fill out the form and hit the ground running, but she wants to. So anybody who's interested in volunteering, you can get to the appropriate people through enfieldpto.com. Let's see where else I wanted to go with this. We have some great news coming out of Enfield High. We got an email from David and Stephanie Hutchings. It should have gone to the whole board. Delaney Hutchings and Autumn Ledoux, both students at Enfield High, they're entering their senior year, have been nominated as Best Buddies Champion of the Year candidates in Connecticut. There are only 9 buddy pairs that have been nominated through Connecticut this year, and Delaney and Autumn are the youngest duos. Both girls have committed to raising over $5,000 for the Best Buddies group to help spread the important message and missions that Best Buddies strives to make an important part of our societal view. Best Buddies is a nonprofit group of volunteers that works effortlessly to create a world of inclusion by ending social, physical, and economic isolation of the 200 million people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. They provide opportunities to form meaningful friendships with peers and develop leadership skills, secure successful job opportunities, live independently, improve self-advocacy, and build effective communication skills, and more. Delaney and Autumn met through the Best Buddies program at JFK. This is headed up by Mrs. Santinella over at JFK, and it was started 6 years ago. Delaney and Autumn were the first two students in that very first group. And through Mrs. Santinella's efforts, the Best Buddies Club at JFK has grown to be one of the largest clubs at JFK and continues to grow. There's a lot of information in here that was shared, but I would like to have Delaney and Autumn come to our meeting because I think it would be more powerful coming from them. So I just wanted to give you a brief overview and give you a couple dates to remember.
Okay, so full disclosure, I didn't respond to them. I responded to Ms. Clark because it was a chain email, and I thought I responded to those who sent it. So I apologize. But now that you're on camera, if you want to ask them to come for the 12th, that was my email.
Delaney and Autumn, can you come to our meeting for September 12th at 7 p.m.? We'd love to have you. I think coming from you and your experiences would be much more impactful than me reading an email. But I am proud of you. And I also want to give everybody the dates that are important. Let's see. The official champion of the year will be announced at a gala on October 6, 2023 at the Farmington Country Club. And in the meantime, the girls are running some fundraisers. So their first fundraiser will be August 26th at Enfield High, where the girls will be hosting a cannon bottle drive. And on September 6th, before you go to Eli Whitney, they will be hosting a fundraising night at Red Robin with the restaurant giving back 20% of the night's proceeds. And the girls will have raffle prizes set up so you can win. You can even attend the Best Buddies Gala on October 6th. So hopefully they can get here for September 12th and share their experience. I'd love to hear more about the Best Buddies. I'd love to have Mrs. Santinella come along with them. But there are good things coming out of Enfield High, and I always love student-led situations and experiences. That's very important. I wanted to mention a couple of other things. We are constantly talking about us being in an alliance district. And there seems to be some confusion regarding, the definition of what makes us an alliance district. I think one of the things that I find interesting is that there seems to be a notion to pin the alliance district on one person or central office or admin. How do you think the teachers feel? Because ultimately they're in the trenches working with the kids. The teachers are portraying this that you are coming down on them because they're not doing a good job in the classroom. But the old adage is, it's whoever's in charge is responsible for that. Some of this misinformation that's being put out there, that it's not based on socioeconomic status, is completely false. And I will work every minute to remind people how this is misinformation and how you're making our teachers feel. Lastly, Jonathan, for you to say that you only have a few meetings left, that's going to make me sad. But what you guys don't know is Grammy and Grampy, Mom and Dad, they take pictures of us and they hang them on their fridge sometimes after our board meetings. And they always message us no matter how contentious the meeting is. And they always say, "You did great." And we leave here stressed and crying. So I know they're watching tonight because they asked what time the Board of Ed meeting was. So come on, let's get together. We'll give them a picture, Grammy and Grampy. That'll be on the fridge in about 20 minutes. And lastly, I want everyone to have a safe and happy school year and enjoy it. School years go by fast. To the teachers, we support you. To the students, we want to hear from you. And so thank you. Moving on. Item 10, unfinished business. We don't have any. Item 11, new business. Item A, approve Henry Barnard Family Resource Center grant. Mr. Drezek.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In closing your pack is the information about the FRC grant renewal process for the 23-24 period from Amy Morales. This is the endorsement letter from Principal Graham about the Family Resource Center that's in Henry Barnard. You first approved this grant in 2019 for the 1921 period. You did it again after that. All the information's in your packet. This is a semi-annual thing that the board does.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the Henry Barnard Family Resource Center grant?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Ryder, second by Dr. Kalnin. Any discussion?
Could I just
Sure.
just a couple
Sure.
of really quick words? The Family Resource Center. So often the care that we provide to our children is just hopelessly compartmentalized, and one compartment just fails to talk to another, and then care becomes hopelessly fragmented. But that's not at all the case with the Family Resource Centers. In fact, it's just the opposite that's true. With the Family Resources Centers, it's all about connection. And the Family Resource Centers have been able to maintain connections with so many entities to protect and promote the health of our children. And just to name a few, connections with Enfield Child Development Center, Enfield Kite, the ERFC Educational Resources for Children, Enfield Social Services, the Enfield Adult Education Program, the Raising Readers Parent Book Club, the Enfield Public Libraries, licensed family child care providers, the Office of Early Childhood, the Enfield Public School System, and even the medical community, and on and on and on. And it's this collaborative spirit, I think, that has really made the Enfield Family Resource Center so successful. And often overlooked aspect of referral, which is what Family Resource Centers do so often. One of the overlooked aspects of referral is follow-up. A referral doesn't mean a thing if the connection is never made. So just referring a family to a resource and hoping for the best is just not good enough. So an essential part of the referral process is following up to make sure that, in fact, the family is receiving the help it needs. And this is exactly what the FRCs are so good at doing through the Cayenne and Apricot data systems and other measures. So finally, I appreciate the efforts being made to protect confidentiality. Big issue in the newspapers these days. The hospitals are having a big problem with it, but the FRCs are very conscientious of confidentiality and the importance of protecting confidential information, again, by means of the Apricot and the Sparkler software, and by other measures as well. So let's keep on supporting the Family Resource Centers. They provide such a valuable service to Enfield.
Thank you, Dr. Kalnin. Any other discussion, questions? Mr. Hamry?
Just want to put out, as noted in the packet, I want to just thank the town council that's already approved they provided their support for this, and I do also support it.
Thank you. Roll call?
Mr. Ryder?
Yes.
Mr. Ungary?
Yes.
Mrs. Acree?
Yes.
Dr. Kalnin?
Yes.
Mrs. Cushman?
Yes.
Mr. Hamry?
Yes.
Mr. LeBlanc? Yes. Madam Chair?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 12, Board Committee Reports. Curriculum Committee, Ms. Pickett is unavailable. Ms. Acree, I know that we had to cancel, we canceled that one meeting and we rescheduled it for September. And I don't know if you want to speak to it. I know that you and Ms. Cushman had met up with Michelle Middleton regarding some questions you had with the curriculum, and I just want to make sure you feel that you're being heard and
She gave us an excellent presentation the other day to answer our questions. So,
Okay,
yes,
great.
we're all set.
All right, perfect. Moving on to the Finance Committee.
No report.
The Policy Committee, Mr. Ryder.
Next meeting is September 19th.
Okay. Leadership Committee, we did not meet, but Mr. Drezek, I just wanted to add something under leadership because I had forgot to include it in my board member comments. But we've had a lot of questions about the strategic plan and the website and having things more available on the website. So I guess could we look for an update from you maybe towards the end of September? I know things have been rather fluid and different things with the funding with the Alliance District, so we've had to change directions a few times, but just kind of looking for.
Yeah, I think the end of September is reasonable.
Okay, Thank you. The Pre-K through 5 School Modernization Committee, Mr. Ryder.
Yes, so this update, for everybody that was wondering, I received this afternoon. So there was no update yesterday on the town council. It was on the agenda as something that if there was an update, it would have been shared. It's on the Joint Facilities Committee, as I'm a liaison to that as well. So again, if there was an update, that's where I would share that, and that's this coming Thursday. But all we know at this point is that Russell and Dawson is still reviewing and revising based on the demographic information. All they have, and they're working continuously with John Dagg and various people through Enfield Public Schools and through the town on questions. There's nothing in stone yet. There's nothing for them to present. We are looking to get everybody back together as far as the School Modernization Committee in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So Russell and Dawson also provided a first draft of a floor plan of a potential build. This is just something where they said, hey, how does this look for a school in Enfield? No specific school. This is just what a school would look like. What are we missing? What programs do you guys have specific in Enfield that we're missing? What's something that the state, may require that we didn't know about and that isn't included? So it's just been conversations back and forth with them and John Dagg at this point, with a handful of others. We do not have a full report or any ranked options yet. But that is something that I received today. I was out of town with my family until about 4 o'clock, showered and came here. So I will share these same few sentences with the group, as well as the minutes from our previous meeting, so that way when we do get back together in the next two weeks or so, that everybody can have a chance to review the minutes from our meetings that have taken place already. We can vote on those. And I just wanted to ask our superintendent while we're talking about this, if there's anything that I missed or anything to add at this point.
No, I think
that's all I know.
That's the information. And I think there might have been some confusion. I don't think there was a special meeting plan. I don't know. I wasn't there. But I think it was just added as an agenda item. If there was an update, we should give one to the council because it's the first time they were meeting.
Correct.
Unfortunately, what you presented
That's how I understood it.
to the board was, that's really the update. And I think, as Mr. Crizel might have referenced, when we started this process, we knew it was an aggressive timeline. And part of this process is you have to get a feasibility study concurrently with a demographic study to look at, okay, this is how much it's going to cost to fix your stuff now. If you do nothing, you just keep the way you are. And then really what you want to do going forward is based on demographics, because everything's by square foot and student count. So until you get both of those, you really can't make a determination. And it's, like I said, it's an aggressive timeline. We're doing everything we can to try to meet it. But part of that process is also that we have to present our feasibility study to the state to sort of get their blessing to move forward to ultimately get a percentage that you would get for reimbursement. We did have that meeting scheduled with the state, August 8th. That meeting was abruptly canceled by the state, not us. So I don't know why I've got questions in to find out why that was canceled. It was rescheduled. It was supposed to be in July. It was rescheduled and a follow-up date was given to us, so we didn't read into it too much. We have put calls out to the state, to our delegation, to find out, is there a reason why we're not on the docket? I've yet to hear back. So once I get confirmation if we're back in front of them, it may not be enough time to make that September 7th date, but to be realistic, we don't know if that was feasible anyway. The important thing is if we do this right. So I think that answered everything.
Mr. LeBlanc has a...
Yeah, I just to follow up on what you said, right? With it being aggressive, I think let's be honest. We're dealing with a board of education, a town council, town government, as anything works, in state government as well as anything works. And everybody always says it, right? Government holds everything up. I mean, to be aggressive as we're being to try to get things done, I think that says a lot about what we're trying to do. And keep the hopes up that things look positive in the near future. So
I think it's a good time to remind folks that when we did this for the high schools, we had 2 high schools. It was about a year and a half before we got to that point of, all right, let's get a pre-ref committee out, let's do all that stuff. And there was only 2 schools they had to do this for, the feasibility stuff and obviously the demographics. JFK was still about a year or so. Scott, you were on it, and that was 1 school. Realistically now, I mean, we asked this company to look at 7 sites. So it is a lot. And just like we mentioned, the teacher shortage, Mr. Hamry mentioned, there's employment shortage everywhere. There's a shortage for people doing this type of work too. So, we do have to be patient. We are still being as aggressive as we can. A day does not go by where John Day does not come down to one of our offices to give us an update and most likely some kind of plan on his iPad that he's already color-coded. So we know it's coming, but once we know more, obviously we're going to, I think it's important that this committee gets back together to all hear this concurrently at the same time, continue the dialogue with the council. And I think we all should get the same information at the same time. Just the reality is none of us have it right now. So once we do, we will get it out. Believe me, we are eager to move this forward too.
And you'll also confirm that I've been asking you about it too.
Oh yeah, he's been asking. Yeah, that's public. I mean, that's disclosable now, Mr. Ryder. He has not stopped asking me what. And I've been repeating the same answers that I've got, which I in turn get from John Daig and Fred Gerber, by the way, who is the deputy town DPW. I don't know what his title is, but he's wonderful. He's amazing. Him and John Daig are like a buddy movie. Like those two, I don't know what's going on in their head, but I know everything always gets done when those two are around. So I do have to thank those two guys for all their help in this.
Great, thank you. Joint Facilities, Mr. Ryder?
We're next meeting this Thursday at 6 p.m.
And then JFK Building Committee?
That's
same
also
night?
this Thursday, 6:30.
So if I might ask
This Thursday as well at 6:30.
If I might ask one quick question about the JFK Building Committee, I'm not sure if this is the appropriate time to ask, so through the chair to the superintendent or whoever, the audio in the JFK auditorium, I'm not sure if there's any updates on that. I know I didn't formally ask that in the previous meetings, but I wanted to make sure I didn't forget again. I've had a question about that, and I don't want to forget.
We can circle back. We'll put it on the list for September.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. Joint Security Committee?
I don't have a next date, but I did ask for a meeting.
Yes, I saw
So
that.
I'm hoping to know soon.
Okay. The Enfield Mental Health and Wellness Work Group?
Last July, Jean and I met with Melissa Thibault, the Community Health Center Coordinator for School-Based Health Centers, and Yvette Highsmith Francis, the Northern Connecticut CHC Vice President. And we talked about the functions of school-based health centers and the requirements for their operations and how they can work in a variety of school settings. And at the present time, the prospects for establishing a school-based health center, at least in the foreseeable future in Enfield, are not good. First, there is the issue of startup costs for which the school district would be fully responsible. And in addition, many school-based health centers operated by CHC are struggling financially through no fault of their own. The major challenge is reimbursement for services rendered, particularly with respect to private insurers. School-based health centers receive no support from the state of Connecticut, so there's a chance CHC, school-based health centers, services may have to be cut back throughout the state. A school-based health center would need to enroll approximately 700 kids in order to be financially viable. Assuming a 50% school enrollment, which may or may not be realistic, the school population would have to be around 1,500 students, and only Enfield High School has a population that large. So finally, it's unlikely that Enfield High School has any available space for a full-service school-based health center. And in any event, as suggested by Ms. Thibault, the first step in the evaluation process would be a survey sent from the superintendent's office to the parents of all the district students inquiring about their willingness to enroll their children in a school-based health center, as well as their insurance status. Ms. Thibault advised us that she will be sending us monthly reports including updates on mental health issues relevant to Enfield schools. So we continue to believe, that is Jean and I, we continue to believe that the school-based health center should be our ultimate goal. In the meantime, we can certainly make incremental progress in advancing the health needs of our students, especially with respect to mental health care. And this committee will continue to work with the superintendent to implement promising strategies to address the challenges of trauma, anxiety, depression, aggression, and attentional issues, all of which continue to rise to dangerous proportions, not only in Enfield schools, but also in schools throughout the state and the nation. Finally, Jean and I have been creating a mission statement for our committee, similar to the one that was drafted several years ago for the Joint Board of Education Town Council Childhood Mental Health Committee. We're doing so at the suggestion of Senator Kissel, who suggested that such a statement would be useful in procuring funding and accessing resources. So we would like to discuss this statement as early as the next board meeting, if possible.
Sure, you'd like it to be an agenda item?
I would.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
You've been busy. I would like to thank you both for taking the lead on this and kind of forming your own Board of Ed committee. I think you're both wonderful to represent the entire board. Dr. Kalnin, as a doctor, and Ms. Acree, you are very in touch with when you taught in the mental health of your students, and you're very endearing. And Dr. Jerry is endearing as well. So I appreciate you guys taking this and doing the research. Anything you need, I hope when you've asked me for information, I get it to you. But anyway, the board can help or come together. We'd love to. So I appreciate these updates, and I can't wait to talk about it in September. Thank you. Enfield Cultural Arts Commission.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. So first off, we are 32 minutes away from the concert starting back here featuring Trailer Trash as presented through the Enfield Cultural Arts Commission. I'm kind of excited for the sound check we're about to hear. It's always, to me, the highlight of the night. Except for tonight, where the local talent of Sage King is going to be helping out Trailer Trash. So bonus, we get to hear some Sage King while we're out there. So I want to thank the Enfield Cultural Arts Committee for making that possible, and the town manager's office for making it move along as quickly as it did. In the brand new band shell that's out there, opened last week, and tonight's the second night of the band shell being used for that purpose. Looking forward to a lot of good events out there, and it's surprisingly large, the band shell is, from the interior. When you're standing looking at the dimensions from inside the band shell, it's really significant. That doesn't stand out when you're walking past it. So if you're available to make it out here tonight, 7 o'clock, and it looks like there might be a couple parking spots still available. I want to also promote the Enfield Culture and Arts Open Mic Night every first Wednesday of the month, coming up September 6th, the first one for the school year. All are welcome, all talents, whether it's vocal performances, guitars, spoken word, whatever you might have for that that you want to express, you're more than welcome to join them at the main library on Middle Road for the open mic night. I want to congratulate Opera House Players for their recent production that closed this past weekend of School of Rock. One of the most fantastic things about this position of being liaison to the schools and to the cultural committee is that the organizations in the area will reach out occasionally and ask for connections to be made. And in this case, I was able to connect Opera House Players with our own United Sound program at Enfield High. And they were, through a promotional efforts, they had a fundraiser during this promotion of School of Rock where they raised money for United Sound. So bonus to United Sound, and thanks to the Opera House Players for making that possible. And watch out for their upcoming season. It's going to be incredible. I want to also share that there's a local artist that we have had in this room, I believe, Chris Tetro, who is going to be putting together some displays, and I hope I'm not jumping too out ahead of it, but some butterfly wings that Chris is making under the his artist name, Don't Miss Chris. He's on Facebook under that name. And I was in the meeting where he demonstrated the process to build these wings, and it's simply incredible. I do follow his Facebook page, and he's been updating regularly the work that will be these two different sized pairs of butterfly wings that will be used for a backdrop, for example, to stand in front of, so that it appears that you have butterfly wings. So again, really nice work that Chris has been doing there, and thanks again to the Culture and Arts Committee for making all of this happen, and for the, I'm very excited for the upcoming school year to see the JFK and high school productions as they work through their process of developing their shows. I encourage all the students that are interested to reach out to those points of contact in both of the schools to get involved, and once you get into the arts, you can't get out of them. It's just the way it is. Thank you.
Mr. Hamry, I did have one question for you. Mr. Counselor Santinella mentioned that you are, or the Enfield Cultural Arts Commission is actually looking to form a partnership with the musicians that we have in Enfield as far as like performing concerts in the bandshell, or?
So there's preliminarily, yes, there's been some discussions about that, and I get excited about that. This is like so cool that this could actually come to be. And just as a quick side note, it also kind of dovetails with a recommendation that one of the attendees of Open Mic had made, that we have a Hall of Fame for Enfield artists, performers, things like that. But yes, there is some movement in a direction that does bring more talent, homegrown talent out and performing in this wonderful new bandshell. Looking forward to it.
Right, because students, typically you can only see the students if you go to the school, but if they can take advantage of the bandshell, it can become a town-wide event and people
Yes.
really get to see
Yes, that's
the amazing talent we have in our schools.
Exactly, and we get to see that talent on display through the art show that they have at the school one
Right.
weekend a month, or during the performances that they have at 7 p.m. But no, it is a good opportunity to allow those students more opportunity to get together, play in an open venue, bring out their friends, family, and anybody else that can fit on the lawn, and demonstrate how much they just love to play music for the sake of playing music without necessarily, hopefully they can do some autonomous things.
Right, and to take it a couple steps further, we have chorus,
Yeah,
and even we have phenomenal writers and poets.
indeed.
So,
And congratulations to Enzima for the new poet laureate for Enfield. Forgot about that too. So a lot of things going on, and there's the sound check that we're waiting for.
Mr. Drezek, or Mr. Longi, who should be the point person that they should be contacting to make that partnership with the school? I'm assuming Mr. Rapucci, is there a certain process you want them to follow?
Mr. Rapucci would be the right place to start. I think just put him in contact with Mr. Rapucci and we can kind of talk through
Okay,
what
so
the
we'll
process
put
is.
Josh
Yeah.
in touch with him as far as our Board of Ed liaison. Okay, so you can be in touch with Mr. Rapucci as this gains traction.
Sounds good.
As our Board of Ed liaison, so I really appreciate, I think this is a great idea, and I think that the students will love to be able to perform.
And
So-
perhaps it could include teachers, too.
Right, staff, students.
Staff band.
Yeah, staff band. So yeah, I really appreciate this. I was really excited when.
There's definitely no shortage of potential. So yeah, I'd be happy to make that contact with Mr. Rapucci, absolutely.
And that's why I was thinking more about even just past the musicians, the singers, the poets, the writers. We could definitely go far. We're coming up on fall, but there's a lot of planning we can do for the spring and the summer for next year. So I think that's wonderful.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Item 13, approval of minutes, regular Board of Ed meeting minutes, June 13th, 2023. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Ryder, seconded by Mr. Hamry. Any discussion? Show of hands? Do I have a motion to approve the special Board of Ed meeting minutes from June 20, 2023?
So moved.
Oh, sorry. I'll second.
Moved by Dr. Calnan, second by Mr. Ryder. Any discussion? Show of hands? Do I have a motion to approve the special Board of Ed meeting minutes from June 27, 2023?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Hamry,
Second.
second by Mr. Ryder. Any discussion? Show of hands? Item 14, approval of accounts and payroll. There is
No
nothing.
report.
Correspondence and communications? Nothing. Mr. Drezek, do we have a need for executive session? We do not. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Hamry, second by Mr. Ungary. Show of hands. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night and have a great school year.